All right, how's it going, everyone? Again, this is Cam, Senior National Training Manager. This is our quarterly virtual specifier training Q1 2025, and we're going to do this on the new channel expansions that we just released, as well as the rigid fixtures that we now have that are FARO in the Lucetta line, as well as EMERY in the Diode LED line. And then at the end, we're going to kind of wrap it up with our new LO-PRO multi-panel box. It's our centralized control system where we can do a lot of the servicing for you and specification, take a look at your projects, be able to put it all in this nice panel with drivers, decoders, switches, all of that good stuff. So we're going to switch over here to the slides and do some of the more high-level stuff. And then we'll do some demo here throughout the entire training. Awesome. So these are the new channel profiles. As you can see, we have quite a bit of new mud-in sheetrock style channel profiles that we've released. 2 different reveals, a single flange, as well as a 1/2 inch, which is a great addition to our mud-in. Now we have a 2 inch, a 1 inch, and a 1/2 inch, as well as a flexible mud-in. We have 2 different walkover rated channels, 2 different recessed angle channels, as well as some more cost-effective reveal or flange types of channels that you can utilize when you don't have a reveal like an under cabinet or similar applications. All right, so want to go through these. Well, I'm going to actually switch over and demo each one after, but this is our new mud-in 1 inch wall reveal. Okay, so as you can see here, it's really a dual flange. You can see this mostly in perimeter lighting. So let's say you have an application where you don't want to use as many point sources or downlights, which can obviously become glare bombs. So you can reduce the amount of downlights and be able to have a nice linear light that is a reveal or a perimeter light going around the room. Okay, this is obviously going to be, excuse me, going to be connecting from wall to ceiling. That's why we have that dual flange, as well as we have, this is just showing you an example though of a perimeter light here that you can utilize. And then also a similar reveal channel, just smaller in size. So a 1/2 inch wall reveal channel. Again, still creating a nice perimeter light, just a smaller aperture of light. As always, you can get these in the 8-foot sections or at custom lengths. Like all of our channels, they're 5-year warranties as well. And then they do come with the end caps and the mounting clips when ordering. So I'm going to switch it over here. Sorry, to the top down. Okay, so let's take a look at both of these reveals really quick. You can see here, this is the 1 inch reveal, and so you obviously have 2 different flanges here. So the goal would be, if this is the ceiling right here and in the wall, right, you could mount this and actually mud it into the wall, mud it into the ceiling, and then have that perimeter light going all the way around. Obviously doing corners as well. Or if you're looking for something a little bit smaller, you have that 1/2 inch reveal. You can see here, you can still fit, if I'm not mistaken, you can still fit 12 millimeter tape light in here. So our Valent and Valent X series, okay? So pop this over. All right, let's move on here. So this is just another example of perimeter lighting that you'll see. So again, as you can notice in this application, reducing the amount of overhead lights that can create glare and being able to create a nice seamless light around the entire perimeter of that room to give you this nice even illumination. It's a much more, I would say, inviting atmosphere when utilizing perimeter lighting. Okay, and then also we have the flexible mud-in channel. This is a very unique channel that we just came out with, mainly meant obviously for those bends and curves to accommodate different types of arches or curved ceilings, or if you want to do different types of curved types of shapes, right, and being able to do S-curves and circles and different things like that. So I want to showcase this here. There you go. All right. So I'm going to show you the small version of it really quick, just a small little pre-cut version. So we're actually using a more like silicone type of lens, and we infuse different hardeners into this so that it can still snap down like a normal lens. The actual tape light, you're going to want to mount it on the side here to be able to have that flex. Okay, and now notice on this, when you look at the back side here, right, you have one side that has those openings as well as a side that has a completely seamless aluminum. So there is one side of this that has a better bend radius than the other. So I'm going to zoom out here. Oh yeah, we'll show it this way. There we go, perfect. So you can see here, this is the curved mud-in, and so this side right here has some really, really good bend radius, and then if I switch it to the other side, like this, you still get pretty good bend radius, but you're stuck at more of that upside down U, and so you can do obviously S curves as well, being able to do different types of curves like this. Okay, so it has really good flexible radius, specifically on one of the sides. So, and it's the same idea as doing any type of sheetrock installation. You just want to be very accurate with this mud-in channel. So personally, I suggest getting a sample of this out in hand for the installation that is a little bit larger than what we usually would do with a lot of mud-in channels. Most of the time, we could ship this out as a little pre-cut section so that this way, just same way as millwork, where they could actually cut the sheetrock to the exact size. Personally, I would have a larger sample that you can do curves and actually make sure that you're cutting into that sheetrock accurately. Sheetrock is already difficult to do with mud-in channels, let alone when it's flexible. So, all right, moving on here. Okay, just wanted to give you some cool application shots as well of different types of curved mud-in that you guys, just for some inspiration here. And then also we have that new mud-in 1/2 inch channel. Okay, so very similar to all of our other mud-in channels, but now we have that really nice, clean, small aperture line for our mud-in platform and series. So let me take a look at this really quick. You can see it here. Okay, so I'm going to showcase it with the 1 inch mud-in next to it. You can see here. Very, very small, nice, clean line. Similar, obviously, in insulation like any other mud-in. Okay. And then also, I wanted to showcase really quick the single flange. This is just an example of some of the smaller types of aperture mud-in applications you can do. But we also have a single flange mud-in. Now, I want to talk about this one for a second because there are going to be some people that think that they can specify this similar to those reveal mud-in channels where they have a dual flange and you can do perimeter lighting with this. I'm not a big fan of this just due to sheetrock and how it can bow on the wall. So be careful with trying to mount this, for example, from the ceiling to the wall without having that dual flange that is perpendicular that connects to the wall. This can bow a little bit and come off that sheetrock. So where I see this is doing things where you can actually put this near the ground on the wall. So if you can you show do the let's go right here. We'll show the case this. So imagine if this is the wall and you're kind of meeting down at the end here. Okay, you could obviously recess this or sheetrock this in and have this at the very ground or close to it and have perimeter lighting going around on the actual wall in direct view. So another example would be doing things where you can do flange like on staircases or stair treads and different things like that. Obviously upside down as well if you wanted to. Just showing you how you could be able to sheetrock this into different types of materials as well, not just sheetrock. So just giving you another example. But again, where I would not do this, and I'll switch this back. Switch this back really quick. I want to make sure people understand, though, that I would be wary of having this go from the wall and hit, the ceiling and hit the wall, because without having that perpendicular flange, this could bow off of the sheetrock a little bit, depending on the sheetrock insulation. So, all right, moving on here. We also have probably two of my favorite channels that we just released, the recessed angle channel. This is close to more like a 30-degree angle channel, as well as, let me show you an application here. Okay, so with different types of shelves and cabinetry, there is a rule of thumb in lighting design where if the light is below your eyes, you shoot it down. If it's above your eyes, you shoot it up. The issue with something like this shelf application is that what do you do with the light that is below you? You shoot that down, but then what about the shelves that go above your eyes? Do you shoot those up? Well, then that would look unsymmetrical. It wouldn't look right. It would just be a little bit off, right? Having light going in different directions. So with the recessed angle channels, the 30 degree as well as this 45 degree channel, now you can recess this into cabinetry or shelves, and the light is always in indirect view. It's always shining back into the shelf or into the cabinet. So I'm going to show you one other application here. Okay, so something like imagine under cabinet or any type of cabinets that don't have lips or reveals, right? You want to be able to have still recessed linear lighting in there, but you don't want to have it in direct view. You don't want to see just lines of light going through the cabinetry. So with a recessed angle channel, you can always direct that light away from the eye. So I'm going to show you an example here. Okay, so let me grab these. You can see here, this is the recessed angle channel that's more like a 30 degree angle, okay? And then you have the recessed 45 degree, okay? This is probably my favorite one. So the goal would be, imagine if you are recessing this into the shelf, okay? And then the person is over here, the direct view is coming into the shelf or into the cabinet. The light now is always shining away from the eyes. So unless you're right underneath the actual light fixture, you're not going to get that glare bomb or those lines of light that are in direct view across the entire room or space. This is really common to see a lot of times in kitchens and different types of living rooms where you're sitting down at the dining room table or at the couch, you look back in view and you'll see just lines of light going everywhere across the different cabinets and shelves. So keep that in mind. That's where I see this most. You also, though, the recessed 45 degree could be used as a little toe kick light, right? So actually recessing, having the light shining down. You could put this in baseboards, recessing in the baseboards, above the baseboard, below the baseboard. So there are multiple other applications for this, but where we see this most is going to be cabinets and shelves. Awesome. And then the last there's four more, but those two that I want to talk about that are cost effective. They solve a big problem that we see in the industry where a lot of times with under cabinet, you don't have a reveal or a cutoff or a lip, and you don't want to do millwork maybe. Maybe you don't have, the installer is not comfortable doing millwork, or the customer doesn't have the budget to do millwork. So you need to be able to use some type of surface mounted channel in that under cabinet, but still have a cutoff of light. So we came out with the S1 cutoff channel. So the S1 is our most popular cost-effective channel in our S series. Does not come with different finish options, as you guys know, or different lens options. That's how we can keep the price down very low. So we have the S1 cutoff channel as well as a very, very simple L channel. Similar idea as the S1 cutoff, but just without a lens. This would be great for things like Streamlight, our chip-on-board cob tape light that you could utilize. So I'm going to show you both of these here. But really, it's for under cabinet like this, where this is something that you have a lip on. Most under cabinet does come with a lip, but there are a lot of applications that we deal with where we still have maybe a remodel job that we're coming into where they didn't build out a lip into the cabinetry. So this would be a good example of where you could use these channels. So let me give you an example of how they look in the up close and personal with the profiles. Okay, so you have the S1 with that little cutoff here. So the idea, if you were looking at it at direct view, right, you would surface mount it underneath the under cabinet. You could paint over this if you want to, but now this is acting as a reveal or a cutoff of light so that you don't have these glare bombs going through that under cabinet when you don't have a lip. And then also there is the simple L channel. So as you can see here, you could do this in a few different ways. You could fit Streamlight on the shorter side and have then a larger reveal, okay? Or if you need something a little bit brighter or higher CRI and you wanted to use something like our Valent X or our Celeste tape light with really, really high gamut fidelity and CRI, you could then switch this around and be able to put a 12 millimeter tape light in here and then have a nice still cutoff of light. Think about these as well as very cost-effective perimeter lights that you could do. So instead of doing the mud-in reveal lights where you have to do sheetrock, it's a much more technical installation, you could surface mount this on the ceiling and have this go and be perimeter light all the way around and have still a nice cutoff of light. You could still do, something with the S1 as well, where you could have this being on the actual ceiling, where then you're looking at it, you have a nice cutoff of light and border the room with a surface mounted channel and still have nice glare control. So those are just two different options as well for applications that you can see. Okay, and then the last two here, last three, I forgot we have the short recess channel. Forgot about this one. This is one of probably my second or third favorite channel that we just came out with. So I want you to imagine where what we see a lot right now is people want to do floating shelves. They want to do millwork. A lot of times though, the shelves have very small amounts of wood. And so there's not much room to work with and recess a channel inside of that wood. So we wanted to come out with a very low profile recess channel. You can see here, this is only 0.31 inches in height, or you could consider that depth. Very, very low profile. So let me take a look at it here with you. So, yeah. Sorry, bear with me here. There we go. You can see it here. So just showing up my thumb here, very, very low profile. Okay, still has the flange to be able to make the millwork installation much easier. So the only issue that I see with this is that you have a very short amount from the actual light engine being laid down in the raceway to where the lens is at. So if you are going to put this in millwork and have it in direct view, I strongly suggest putting something like our chip on board streamlight in this so that you'll get homogeneous lighting. Due to that 180-degree beam spread and it being dotless, you'll actually get even illumination from the edge of the lens all the way to the other edge of the lens. Most other tape light, you're going to get some type of runaway diffusion or some type of dotting. So just keep that in mind. Because of how low profile this is, I definitely suggest some type of chip on board tape light engine in this. Okay, we're going to talk about our walkover channel. So we have our short walkover channel, or you can see this as a flanged walkover channel. So the same thing as in millwork or any type of time that you're going to be recessing a channel, flanges are obviously going to be a lot easier to work with. So that's how you can see our short walkover channel is a little bit more of an easier installation and more low profile. But then we also have our standard walkover channel, which is a flangeless channel. This has a deeper cavity as well, so that you can put really, really bright lighting if you want it in there without it having a major glare and runaway diffusion and dotting. So you can keep that in mind there. It has a very, very deep cavity compared to our short walkover. So we'll take a look at those to end off our new channel profiles. So you'll see here, when you get a sample of this as well, you'll notice that the lenses are built differently, obviously for that walkover rated application. And then this is that flange version, so it still looks very similar to a normal recess channel. Okay, as well as our flangeless channel. As you can see here, very nice, clean look. Think about this as still perimeter lighting. I see a lot of applications where they put this in wood floors, but they border the entire room on the outside, so it's not in the actual pathway. It's very close to the walls, but you have this really cool linear light going around the room and giving it this nice border and architectural feel. One of the coolest applications I've ever seen walkover rated channels being used is actually with pixel tape light. It was at an art installation, an art museum, and there was multiple different levels and floors to this this project, and they had a whole bunch of different art installations all throughout the project. So what they did is they had these nice LCD screens that you could go up to. You could switch through all the different art installations, see pictures, a little description of it, and then let's say you wanted to go check it out, but you didn't know where it was. You could press a button that then on the ground, pixel lighting was actually programmed to the average walking speed, and it would move, the light would move and show you exactly where the art installation was. Obviously a very high-end luxury type of application, but that's just a cool example of where I've seen walkover rated channels being used. So This is just another little example in wood floors. Okay, so now I want to talk about rigid fixtures here. So we recently came out with a new fixture forward style of lighting with the EMERY, that's within the Diode LED line, as well as the FARO series, that's within the Lucetta line. They are very similar in a lot of ways. I will talk about the small differences here at the end between the EMERY and the FARO. And really, there's two different options that you can get within the FARO, within the 8 profiles that we have offered within the series. So you have obviously the IP20 indoor rated versions, and really they are channels that you all are familiar with, and I'll show you an example here. We all are familiar with the A series, so A1, A2, A3, the recessed channel, slim, square, 45 degree, and mud in. The difference is before it was more of a componentry style of specification or ordering, where you had to go and get the spec sheet for the channel, then the spec sheet for the light engine or tape light, the spec sheet for the driver, and then you had all these different part numbers, versus now you can go to one single spec sheet and be able to order everything and specify everything throughout that spec sheet. So I'll give you some examples here in just a second. Okay, the goal of this though is that we are trying to change the mindset around tape light solutions. We still want to offer that componentry mix and match style of lighting and specification if needed, but we also want to be able to give our specifiers in a one-stop and all area that they can specify an entire fixture versus seeing it as componentry lighting. So it's also engineered precision illumination. You can see this is fully built, ready to install, plug and play. So once you specify this, when we ship it out, it's all plug and play. They're not having to build it out into the field and cut the channels and cut the tape light, make the solder connections, and try to choose what drivers fit with each light engine. That will all be done through the specification. And then the goal of this too is to be able to give you really high-end specification grade products. So we can get up to, within the FARO line, we can get up to 98 plus CRI, and then within the EMERY series, we can get up to about 95 plus CRI. Okay, so new spec sheets. So I want to show you an example here. So this is a little snippet of one. Where you can see here 1 through 8 is going to be obviously necessary, as well as 14, and then obviously you have some optional categories that you can walk through. So I want to give you some close-ups here. Okay, so really this is what we're looking for. So the product, the finish, rating, the performance. We're no longer doing with the FARO and EMERY series lumens per foot. It's going to be watts per foot, but you can then go lower in the spec sheet and see what lumens per foot are for each of the different wattage options that we have. The CCT, lens, fixture length, as well as if you want it to be optimized or not. So for example, we can help you in cabinets. If you have adjacent wood walls in that cabinet, sometimes you want to have the channel be going all the way from edge to edge, but you want to inset the light engine 2 inches on each side so that you're not going to get massive glare bombs and hot spots on the edges of the cabinet. So we can help you with that. Input wire length, the color, the type and the connection, the output wire length if needed, as well as the color, type and connection, and then the mounting as well. So this is how it kind of looks. You walk through it. The cool thing about this too is that now the actual part number that is spit out at the end, once you have specified every single category, is going to be the same part number that is on the quote, that is on the order, so that you can put it on the fixture schedule. It is the exact same part number. There's no changes in that through the specification process all the way to the order process. Okay, so then this is an example of our EMERY series. Okay, so you'll notice here you have multiple different performance options. So our SS, which is that 95 plus, really high R9 values, and then obviously fantastic gamut fidelity. You have the STD one, which is our standard performance model. That's still that 90 plus CRI, but then lower R9, as well as the VE option, which is that 90 plus CRI, and then still that 55 R9. So decent, just cost-effective, everyday types of R9. This is not for those high-end luxury residential options, but you have those 3 different performance options within one single fixture. Then the lens, right, fixture length. You can see here, so it just helps you walk through and have all of your options for specification within one single spec sheet. We've done a lot of work on these to make these as easy as possible to specify on projects. Okay, and in the end run, this is that snapshot again of all of it in one. Okay, so as long as you walk through every single step and category, then you'll have a part number at the end that you can then give our team, and it will be the same part number that is ordered, that is on the quote, so that you can utilize this for your fixture schedules on your future projects. Okay, so really the difference between Emery versus FARO is it's the same profiles, same profile options. Okay, very similar when it comes to ordering and how the spec sheets look. Really, the main difference is that performance category and how that looks on the actual spec sheet. So the one on the left is Emery. You can see there, right, we have a little bit of a different nomenclature for the performance categories versus on Lucetta, the FARO series. We make it a little bit more simple. You have the 98, which is just really 98 plus CRI and fantastic R9 and gamut fidelity. You have the 95 and as well as the 90. So that's kind of the version of the VE for the Emery. Okay, and then really where I see FARO and the Emery series kind of becoming a spec lock and being very unique is really the wet versions or the IP67 versions of the series, okay? So if anyone has specified AlphaTech X or encapsulated in the past, that is one of our most unique Reno manufactured products. It's a polyurethane that we utilize, that we pour over the light engines, 3 different layers. We can still get up to about 95 plus CRI with our encapsulated product. It is flexible, it's UV rated, chlorine rated, saltwater rated, bromine rated. Okay, it can live up to about 180 degrees down to negative 40 degrees. It's sauna rated, steam room rated. So we took similar technology as that with the polyurethane, and we ended up pouring it in these different channel profiles. So I'm going to show you an example here in just a second. But now this is allowing you to be able to have water dispersion on top of it. You can power wash this versus what most competitors are doing is they're taking an aluminum channel and putting a silicone wet located tape light inside of that channel. The issue with that is especially if you're facing it upwards, water is going to eventually over time pot inside of that channel, and the moisture is going to deteriorate that silicone, and you're going to have issues in 3, 4, 5 years down the line in your project. With this is fully encapsulated, fully potted with polyurethane. So obviously there is a trade-off. It is not field serviceable. That is the trade-off. But now you have a robust, rigid fixture that is truly IP67 where there is going to be no water damage within that light engine. Okay, so some other cool pictures. Okay, and then just giving you a little video that we created that you can find on YouTube if you want to send this to your customers or clients and things like that. This is just the Emery, but very similar to the FARO, of course. Okay, application use, we'll talk about this in just a second. I want to show you what these look like. Okay, so this is really the profiles that we offer within the FARO and Emery series. So we obviously have the A1, that is our larger architectural channel profile that has really nice scattering properties, a raceway on the back for hidden clips and wire management. We have the A2, which is just a smaller version of this. Okay, still a nice raceway on the back for wire management and hidden clips. The A3 is just very similar to the A2, just without the raceway. Okay, we have our legacy products that are going to be our Slim, our Square, which is the same profile as a Slim, just with a raceway for hidden clips on the back, our 45-degree angle channel, our recess channel, okay, as well as a mud-in channel. So every the Emery, FARO, the Emery and FARO come in all of those profiles, but what I really think is more unique, besides just the how you specify those products, is the actual FARO Wet. So you can see it here. This is that A1, right? So you still get that nice raceway on the back for hidden wire management and clips, but you have a fully encapsulated product. It is hard to show it over camera, but I mean, you can power wash this. This is completely encapsulated with that polyurethane. Okay, we can do it in the A1, so larger channels. This one by far I think looks the best in person just because you get, because of that raceway and the larger, deeper cavity, the light is a little bit farther away from the polyurethane, so you get this nice homogeneous lighting out of it, where edge to edge of the lens is evenly illuminated. Okay, you have it in the slim here. Okay, it's hard to show it over the camera, but the slim, you get a little bit more of a hot spot going down the middle because it's a very low profile channel. We can do it obviously in the A2, which I'm showing here. Okay, with the clips behind it, but even unique ones like the recess channel. So this is really cool. You can see here that recess. You can see this in like shower niches, in showers between the tiles being recessed in. So really cool option for different types of shower applications. Okay, and you can see here, this is a good example showing it how we have these little nice end caps that we pop on to hide the polyurethane. But really, again, if you took this end cap on, this is polyurethane straight down here as well. It's completely encapsulated so that there is no water damage possible. Awesome. All right, so to end it off here, okay, we're gonna go to some application usage for the FARO Wet. Okay, so this is where I see a good amount of it is right outdoor staircases. Okay, shower lighting, shower niches, due to this being IP67. Okay, this is a really cool shower application we did a long time ago here, but it's very similar. They actually used encapsulated AlphaTech X in this, but he even said it would have been a lot easier if we were able to put it in a rigid channel. We just did not have this offering at that time. Okay, outdoor pergolas. Okay, handrail lighting. Stair rail lighting, stair railing, okay, building facades, okay, and then any type of really exterior architectural element of any sort. If you need something rigid as well, and you don't want to have to deal with a plastic channel and you're putting some type of silicone flexible fixture in there that then can pop out during humidity or different types of temperature changes, this is a nice option to be able to have a rigid fixture that you can mount just like a normal channel, so you get all the same mounting elements, but being able to still have it be completely IP67. Okay, and then to end it off, I wanted to showcase our new centralized control system. This was a really big hit at Leducation, which is why we wanted to show it today. We were very surprised, but I think a lot of lighting designers that are working on smaller residential or even smaller commercial projects want to be able to have the power, the ability to be able to specify the control system. And so what we can do is we can help you and take your entire system design, your entire project, and do obviously help you with the voltage drop calculations, all of that. But then we can figure out what exact drivers you need, do the driver calculations. If you're doing dynamic lighting, we can take the gateways and the different types of decoders, and then we can wire that up into these multi-panel boxes that then you can ship out all plug and play. You can recess them or surface mount them. So this is an example of just one of them that's using our OmniDrive X drivers. Okay. Okay, it's really the goal, right, is again that engineering precision solutions. Okay, simplifying these complex lighting systems, not having to try to figure out where you're going to remote all the drivers, where you're going to mount them. We can do all of that for you in a nice, clean, simplified system. Okay, fully built, ready to install. Okay, assembled and engineered here in the US. Okay, so the whole point, right, is to really have a area, a location to be able to securely house those drivers, controllers, and different components needed for your control systems. Okay, so the specifications, just taking a look here, right, so they're linkable, the panels for larger capacity. As of right now, we only have one size, but you can link them together and stack them on top of each other. You can get it in surface or recessed mounting. They have to be assembled with the drivers prior to shipping to keep it UL listed. So we can do up to about 4 different drivers in one box. And then with the 4 drivers, you could have those with decoders as well. As you can see on the right picture there, you can see that there's the VLM and the decoder at the very bottom. You can get it in 12 volt or 24 volt. Okay, it is IP20, IC rated, NEMA 1 enclosure. It's assembled in the USA in a 5-year warranty. Okay, we do have a paintable cover. You just want to be very careful with the type of paint. You do not want the paint to be very thick and actually drip into those holes, because you want those holes to be used for heat ventilation. Various different knockouts as well. Okay, and then the dimensions, just to give you an example here. Okay, so you can mix and match up the 4 drivers or driver controller combos. Here are the drivers listed that you can utilize. So OmniDrive X, OmniDrive Basics, and VLM. Okay, so really the VLM is going to be for more your dynamic types of color changing. So tunable white, RGB, RGBW, RGBTW, and then the other 3 are for more your static white types of 2-wire systems, that or warm dim. And then the DMX driver decoder, the 4-channel decoder, our Dolly 2, and then our 5-channel decoder. But if you use the 5-channel for things like RGBTW, you can only do a max of 3 inside of the system. Okay. This is a surface mount, and really the only difference in dimensions, as you're going to notice here, is the cover dimensions when we go to the recessed. Okay, it's just really adding an inch on each side to be able to recess that in. Okay, and then here's the mechanical drawing. Let's give you some examples here. You have the AC power on the left there. So that's obviously blocked off from the low voltage. You have multiple different types of terminal block connectors and switches that you can utilize. And then we will be able to do all of this for you, wire it up nice and clean, simplified, and then ship it out with a nice bow on top. Awesome. So here is just our little display here. And so we're utilizing obviously a more standard switch with static white. You can see here that's going to be controlling this one. So let me turn this off for now. There we go. So you'll be able to have a dimmer or a switch on the side here. This is going to be where your 120 volt is. This is a very basic system. We're only showing it with a OmniDrive X as well as a driver and decoder combo. So this is what I mean is that even though you can do only up to 4 drivers, you can have then up to 4 decoders as well. So if you're doing any type of dynamic color changing like tunable white, RGB, RGBW, you can have up to 4 of these in one if you're using our standard 4-channel decoder. Obviously, I have the switches here to make it very easy, nice and clean. Okay, and then obviously the cover would go over this, and then we would ship it out. You have different knockouts. So you have different knockouts up here, 3 of them, as well as 3 down here. Then I wanted to show you here, switch this off. This is just showcasing if you wanted to use like our DMX pre-programmable wall mount controller, you could have that on the side here and then be able to do different types of dynamic color changing. So again, the goal of this is to simplify your specifications, simplify your control systems, make it easier for your installers when you're doing larger projects, where we can take all of that labor and time and where they have to figure out how they're going to hide and centralize these control systems. We can take that service on us, do all of the planning and calculations and voltage drop, all of that, and then be able to have a nice system design that we ship out with a nice bow on top. It's plug and play. So that's the goal. I'm going to now open it up here for questions. Okay, if you do have any questions, please put them in the chat. If you don't think of your question right now, that's fine. Please send in your question to info@elementalled.com or info@diodeled.com or info@lucettalighting.com. Whichever one you want, we'll be able to answer those. So, cool. Awesome. So with that, I'm Cam, Senior National Training Manager. Thank you for joining us today. We will be uploading this recording here in the future. You'll see it on YouTube. And I think the next quarterly virtual specifier training is going to be in June. Don't quote me on that, though. It is coming up. You will be getting emails and receiving those notifications here in the future. We're excited to have you on the next one. Thank you for your time today, and enjoy the rest of your week.